Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Bottom left hand corner, we got LancerX starting as the red Protoss. Upper left hand corner, we got Nesh starting as the marine green machine, which is a different player. Terran. You guys have to be careful throwing machine out there because this is on Radeon, larger macro map. I do think it is a little bit more defensible for Protoss versus initial Vulture incursions because you have fewer Dragoons that are needed to defend here. You can see where you can get away with a little bit more with a little bit less. Does that make sense? And as a result, I'm wondering if Nesh will have as much success as he did in game one. He delayed that third Nexus a decent tick of time. And then the comm set was phenomenal as far as the timing. And I kind of am recognizing, I'm not sure if it was just prior meta. I feel like Nesh is playing on the edge of the meta. As a side note, previously I was like, oh, this was just a FD or a failed FD or something along those lines from Nesh, and it's actually become more fashionable in the meta to do FD again, even though it's kind of old school, mostly to interrupt early Protoss play in certain situations overall. So I want to say that I feel like Nesh is a smarty these days, is I guess what I'm saying, and he's done a pretty good job executing. Whoa, what happened there? Cancellation of the gateway, that actually costs a big chunk of resources here to start. And a repositioning, wonder what the logic behind that was from Lancer. Again, I feel the other aspect of this is I also wonder if Lancer's playing a little bit tournament nervesy, and that initial gateway placement and cancellation might be indicative. I think he maybe misread his location in the base, didn't want it up here, wanted it closer to the ramp to the right, and felt like the resource loss was worthwhile. He's dropped an assimilator behind this. In the meantime, Nesh with the barracks along that edge. I would be somewhat surprised to see him go straight into command center off this initial play. Looks like we are going to see Cybernetics core fairly quickly here from LancerX. He did skip Zealot game one. Nesh noting that he's floating some minerals actually. I take it back. So Nesh saw the skip of Zealot in game one, and this is oftentimes why you want that initial Zealot, by the way, is to try to hamper and put some hurt on this situation. So Nesh going for a gasless expand. No Marines thus far, and unfortunately for LancerX, he's scouting bottom right. So Nesh playing like he wants it and doing some aggressive macro actions in turn. A little bit late. Is he just not going to queue up the Marines at all? This is very, very brave. Still queuing up the refinery and no Marine at all. There's the first Marine after refinery. And Nesh, by the way, went initial 2 depot. So it was 1 depot into expand here, keep in mind, on top of everything else. Bunker also dropping. So Nesh is going to get a rocketing head start economically. Lancer's already taken a bit of a handicap, and unfortunately for him, yeah, he's not going to spot this until much later. And also depending on that Marine positioning and how many Marines are out by the time that probe cycles around, I don't even know that he's going to get that level of information. The one advantage here for LancerX is he's very, very behind in information. I'm almost wondering if you want the one gate Dragoon into gateway, or into Nexus, I should say. Because of that early gateway, it actually will play out fairly well for him. Dragoon actually just going top left, and it looks like the probe going to draw back since it got final scout. This could result in a dead Marine potentially, which will help here at the start and might push Nesh back. Third Marine's trailing a bit. Lancer not going to go ahead and go for it. Looks like that bunker going to tuck himself into that area in the meantime. And so this is unfortunate for Lancer. He got absolutely no information. He was a little bit delayed on everything else, but economically he's not too far behind Nesh. Nesh definitely has the economic lead and the jump start, however. And going ahead and plopping down 2 factories. Let's see if he goes double machine shop in the space of this. I would expect that to be the play. Overall, it looks like SCV's going to wind around. I don't think this Dragoon's going to stop this SCV from being able to make it all the way to confirm the Nexus warping in. Nesh going to see the timing of that as well. Hit the lip there, got a misfire, and saw the edge of only a single gateway. We do have one gateway robo into second gateway behind this. And we do have the initial single machine shot plopping down. A very fast second gas here from Nesh. And I'm wondering if he recognizes. So one aspect of upgrade Terran that I think has shifted in comparison to the previous era is it's a little bit more, and Nesh wisely going for siege tank and siege check right off the bat. given this scenario. You got to be very, very careful because you can end up with Dragoon Flood. Second Machine Shop dropping again to kind of push that siege tank count here in the mid game. What that will do is that will give LancerX the go-ahead to make a way towards a third base. Looks like he's going Observatory rather than Support Bay. And if Lancer plays this carefully rather than macro aggressive, he's going to lose out on a bit of an opportunity here where he could have potentially gone for an additional base open and free, and it'll be quite a while before Nesh is really able to push in the aggression. LancerX is positioning towards the 6 o'clock. It looks like he's maybe going to go for this blind. He hasn't, and I think the sense of him, right, that he recognizes no vultures have aggressed out on the front yet. So either it's a drop, and let's see if he positions the Dragoon. Yeah, you can see he's already positioned Dragoons for drop potentially. But otherwise, it's going to be Vulture Light. So he wants to go ahead and get that the 6 o'clock base. I wanted to say 6th base, not 6 o'clock base. 6 o'clock base fairly rapidly. Potentially around the 6:30 mark. That's a very solid timing for a Protoss third these days. By the way, Armory dropping. I was about to say that was the bit I missed. In the meta, I think there's been recognition that you can really only go upgrade Terran when you have that economic lead. I think Nesh noting he's got the economic lead, and so dropping that Armory. I do think that the rapid third base underneath 6:30, by the way, turret hovering here might be able to push away this observer, might be able to contend with this. We'll see if Nesh goes up to 5 factory. Looks like he's going up to 4 factory. Still think LancerX is in a pretty good situation. The observer survives momentarily. Is not getting a good look at what the factory count is. We're still looking at just 2 gateways right this second. And we'll see if Nesh goes for... I don't think he's going to go for another Academy play this time. I think he's just going to go +1. I have a feeling he's going to skip it, go +1, and very likely go into either a 5th factory. Never mind, he's going straight up to 6 factories. 6 factories off 2 bases. So going to go very aggressive. Was this the plan from the start? Just a +1 6 factory hit. I'm not sure I like that on Radeon just because of the size of this map, but it could pay out. Especially because LancerX, once again, playing somewhat gateway light. He's only got 3, looks like 4 gateways. You usually, I think having casted a while, I feel like you want to have 2 gateways on top of what the factory count is. Approximately. Or have some Reavers or Dark Templar or something else to try to equalize things out. Nesh already opening up the front. Grabbing some Goliaths alongside. He's going to play this Vultureless effectively. He's even getting Vulture upgrades. He's skipping the Vulture upgrades altogether. Just wants to go Goliath Siege Tank, Pummel, and Seal. And I don't think Lancer has any vision on this whatsoever. Does have the Pylon Seal here at the 6. He's seen no Vultures as well. Looks like he is tacking on it. He's going to be at least at 6 gateways. 7:30 is usually when you want to push out to like the 8 or 9. Oftentimes, I feel like in the more modern play. But Nesh momentarily gonna get moving. Yeah, he's just slow hopping this. There's the observer in between, by the way, and I don't think we're gonna see a starport or any additional vision. Slew of vultures and the vulture upgrades coming somewhat later. It looks like it's gonna be speed before mines even. And with the comsat and the 4 Goliaths, they can swat that observer fairly quickly. This is an interesting manufacture of a push here from Nesh off 6 factory. He's got the 4 Goliaths to deal with potential dropships and also to pick the observers out of the air. He fielded a lot of siege tanks very, very rapidly. He's still got the double machine shop, got the comsat, clears out the observer. And so all Lancer sees is 4 Goliaths and a pile of siege tanks. And the other aspect of this is Nesh could just be... He hasn't shown such a large grouping of troops that Lancer would know. Like, I look at this, I don't think, oh, that's 6 factory for sure. And he's coming right at me right this second. You can see where he waited a minute, waited for the vision to drop, is now moving out. Lancer bringing this observer up and now is going to see the size of troops. It looks like Nesh sending the vultures a long way around. Wants to get to a cutoff route in between and drop some mines. Also might cycle that down to the 6 o'clock. But the other thing Nesh can do off this 6 factory is, even though it would be a bit of a resource haul hurt, he could grab the 3rd. And it looks like he is opting to grab the 3rd. The vulture's somehow sneaking into the... So this was not a blockade, able to get into the 6 o'clock. Lancer really missing some opportunities here. Looks like that's going to be cleaned up, but Lancer well behind in the overall worker count. Did not grab a 4th in the space of this. And I think he is a bit unsure because he sees the SCV planted here. Because the SCV is going ahead and dropping that command center. I'm actually a little bit shocked that Nesh is doing this. Because a lot of the view of that was in fact aggression. Lancer counterattacking. But the thing is, oh, this might be dangerous for Lancer because Nesh can cancel this. And now these Dragoons, yeah, he can cancel this. These Dragoons are now out of position. You got all this mech with +1 making the way they're crossed. And I'm wondering if that was the play the entire time. I'm not sure. If so, that is a genius 10,000 IQ play right there from Nesh. Is let's build a command center. So we're just opening up the front and basically stringing LancerX out. So we can go ahead and just sink down, push that third, maybe even go into the natural expansion. Nesh is drawing back, however, across that front. He wants to deal with the Dragoons so he can potentially reinforce back across. So I'm guessing maybe that was not the play now that we're seeing the drawback. And in particular, we're not seeing any additional aggression here towards the 6. So a little tit for tat. That would have been genius if that was in fact the play. Nesh a little bit late on blockading, crafting up this area. It looks like he's going to get a Dragoon and cycle back around. But this has given Lancer some time to go ahead and pad that supply. He's now 10 is a little bit light. His worker count is a little bit light in comparison to Nesh. How are we doing on... Do we only have the... It looks like we only have the one shuttle with the Reaver as well. Not a lot of other support. And I don't think we have Zealot leg speed. No, we do not have Zealot leg speed. So Nesh with that drawback, I feel like he was giving more of an opportunity to LancerX than usual. We do have shuttle... Gonna scoop up some Zealots to go for some bombs. It looks like Vulture is continuing to try to press, not gonna find anything there. Underneath, the Observer gonna see all this trooping, grouping up. Lancer again checking the 9 o'clock to make sure that wasn't happening. And Nesh has actually closed the supply count. He's actually gained a supply lead in the space of this. Zealot leg speed about halfway finish, +1 armor on the way here for LancerX. And I do think once, and it looks like his +1 weapons is finished as well, once he has that Zealot leg speed, it'll be a little bit easier to contend with a lot of this. What happened to the Goliaths? Goliaths look like I must have missed them getting picked off in that previous engagement. Nesh building an interior command center, gonna go ahead and I missed that command center being built. I apologize, that is some bad commentating on my part. But Nesh now has that third in place. He's got a Vulture kind of camping out bottom right. This would be expanding into his opponent. I'm not sure that Lancer's up for that. But interesting, Nesh not drawing some SCVs and plopping down. He's leaving this lane open a bit. Probe is gonna get pushed away, maybe because of the recognition that he might want to draw down an attack towards Lancer at the inner 9 o'clock. Lancer kind of testing both locations, and we aren't seeing. Yeah, we're just some mines. Little bit of bad discipline right there with the Observer. We are seeing the gateway count get pretty high, and we are seeing a tech switch to carrier off 3 base. This is going to put Nesh on a timer. Let's see if he spots it. If I don't know that I'm trying to remember the last time we saw a comsat was a while ago. At the moment, Lancer is locked 3 bases. There's the comsat. It's mostly hunting army right now for Nesh. So Nesh is more concerned about the encroaching army. He's got a supply lead, actually. Zealot leg speed is finished. I'm a little bit concerned with Lancer doing this. Here's the thing, it opens up some supply for him off some pylon blockades to go ahead and get some additional supply for the carriers. But at the same time, he's peeling away a lot of troops. Nesh's supply count's fairly sizable, and now that there's nothing left here underneath, he needs to be careful that Nesh doesn't counterattack him while he's going for that carrier swap, because carriers occupy a lot of resources and a lot of supply, and just take quite a while to build. So I'm not sure I like the attack. I like the keeping Nesh on his toes aspect. I don't like the attacking into Nesh right this second. Maybe he's trying to posture as though like, yeah, I have units to throw away. No biggie, yeah, keep playing on defense, keep expending the comsats on these forward troops. That being said, Lancer's doing a really good job. Ooh, shuttle took some big hits there. Lancer's doing a very good job of making this look like it is more of an attack, a fray attack on the edges here. Do we have a second armory? We do have a second armory. Bunkers being cleared to go ahead, and we got another command center being built. So yeah, Nesh is going to slow play this. He's still near 200 supply off just the 3 bases. but I'm not sure that he recognizes that. I think he saw the attempts at the 4th base, and Lancer sold the play well. And yeah, Nesh isn't scanning the main right this second. And as a result, I think Lancer's going to get away with it. Although he is getting EMP, but he's not filling in with a lot of Goliaths. And also with this, we already have 1 carrier out. Looks like 2 more carriers shortly going to be on the way. So I think Nesh thinks he's in a better situation than he is. He is maxed right this second, but he needs to move fairly rapidly if he's going to push out. We do have a pretty good swarm and some Reavers along the near side, so it's going to be a little bit harder for Nesh. You can see he's trying to play towards the 4th base as well, so I don't think Nesh is thinking about going aggressive on top of it. I think he just wants to clear out the units towards the right, clear out that 12 o'clock, and Lancer is doing a great job of selling this as though he's just kind of doing a standard macro stymie thing instead of the now 4 base carrier. Did Nesh catch it there? No, he's still compsatting army. Yeah, just keeping Nesh on his toes. Turret going middle of the map. Kind of trying to cut the map in half. But now that the carriers are starting to field, do we have at least 3? Looks like 2 are going to join up towards the front as Nesh making his way forward. Might be necessary. You can see Nesh being, or I should say Lancer being very, very patient with it. Reaver with some turrets nearby. The Marines have emptied the bunker to provide a little bit of extra anti-air, by the way. That command center, by the way, has made no motions. Ooh, 3 siege tanks with that bomb. That was huge. Observer's now picked off. Yeah, SCV's gonna go ahead and get repelled. Command center has no place to go. Supply is even. 3 carriers on the map. 2 additional queued. Nesh has created a wedge, but I think as soon as these carriers join the battle, there's not going to be a lot for these siege tanks to accomplish aside from buying time. Did Nesh compsat the carriers? Still compsatting around edges. It looks like we do have a Reaver drop underneath that's going to draw some of the reinforcements that direction to try to clean it up. This is a great attack from Lancer. And the carrier is going to occupy the 6 o'clock, and that's going to be the first spot from Nesh. So Nesh losing the base here at the 9 o'clock, and on top of that, Lancer able to get some solid economic damage done. He's also pseudo-locked out this 12 o'clock with that attack trooping. Nesh, a lot of his army out of position. You can see this is... Yeah, he recognizes, okay, I'm out of time, so let's just barrel into this. But now, LancerX needs to draw his army back, because this is all of a sudden a very potent attack force. Do we have Goliaths? We do have Goliaths nearby. That's going to shut down the 6 o'clock. So the main is mined out. The natural expansion looks like it could get buried. How's Nesh doing? Nesh is also out of resources. That's interesting. And this might win the game for Lancer, is this grouping right there. Nesh has 1,000 resources to his name. He's maybe going to get this 6 o'clock, but that's going to leave LancerX mining here. Great position for Lancer. And there's still, the Goliaths haven't cycled around to deal with the carriers there. Yeah, and I think that's going to be GG right there, likely. Unless Nesh can just somehow get these siege tanks out to the 9 o'clock. Oddly enough, LancerX actually lost a huge amount of pylons and a lot else to clear that out. He's down to 1 base, so natural expansion gone, 6 o'clock base gone, which at least makes it harder to sustain the carrier positioning. But in the meantime, Nesh might lose this command center here to the 12 o'clock. Has grouped up some reinforcements to go ahead and dive in to at least establish that. Interestingly enough, I don't know how long this lasts for Nesh is the thing. Supply count's even. The carriers are starting to fill in even more. And Nesh is not mining. Needs to re-grab. Looks like he's going to move the... Is that the command center at it? No, he's just moving the command center out. I don't think he can defend on all fronts here. And Lancer still has a good section of army to work with here. Is that command center going to burn down as well? That's the next question. So that's dropping. That... Some SCVs need to get to the 12 o'clock to repair that. Does Nesh recognize it? Hopefully. Interesting. It's actually 2 base Terran versus 1 base Protoss. And Nesh does have a 20 supply lead. But this is the big X factor. You got 6 carriers and a very nice architecture to work with this. Nesh very aggressively pushing in to the bridge line, wants to try to barrel in and shut down that 9 o'clock. Natural expansion's been redropped, by the way. SCV's R group preparing that 12 o'clock, so that's going to be okay. And the next question, we do have some pretty solid upgrades that are ahead of the air upgrades. So interceptors are dying in the air, which means this could really be a game win for Nesh on the turnaround, because the interceptors might, if you can hurt the economy, pick the interceptors out of the air, it costs money to build those interceptors, at which point the carriers start losing their efficacy. That being said, you need to attack the interceptors. It looks like he's retreating and bleeding off some additional troops, who's trying to mirror, wants to wipe out the Dragoons underneath. He is getting some good Dragoon kills. This is actually pretty solid upgrades here from Nesh. By the way, is he going towards just building nothing but Goliaths? Found one carrier exposed. Looks like that carrier is going to be able to get its way out underneath this. The Dragoon's just drawing out to the right to buy some time. Kind of an odd situation. Okay, the base is up, but not a lot left here. Lancer needs to win it with his carriers right this second. And right now, diving headlong and not paying attention is going to end up losing at least one, lost two. Is he going to end up losing a third? Might lose a third, and Nesh is swarming right back to that natural expansion. Counterattack going up to the 12 o'clock. That will shut that base down for Nesh, but if Nesh can wipe out this 9, he'll still be mining at the upper 9 o'clock base and be in a winning position overall. Also, all these carriers are pinned back. SCVs are fleeing. The command center are just going to lift off for the moment. Now these carriers honestly need to abandon ship and just go up and try to shut down this base as rapidly as possible. Do we have reinforcements making their way across? Nesh just needs to sandbag this Dragoon trooping. Maybe leave the siege tanks and just march the Goliaths up as quickly as possible. This is turning into a nutty one. In a moment, I don't think either player is going to be mining. Nesh with about a 20 supply lead. There's 3 carriers on the map. Is this turning into a base race? SCV dies as it makes its way to the north. Nesh looking for the base trade scenario. Might be able to wipe out that natural, but he's no longer mining. He's got 600 in the bank. He's still got that 12 o'clock. But just going to bulk dive with the rest of his troops. Those probes going to wipe out. Now LancerX is no longer mining either. There's still some cruft here. Single Dragoon top right. This command center needs to start making its way. If this is going to be a base trade scenario, that command center needs to float out into no man's land as quickly as possible. We still have this carrier up here and 3 Dragoons. Nothing else really queued up. Nesh going to go ahead and draw back now. Few siege tanks up on the high ground. Nesh actually drawing back. He wants to try to wipe it. I guess he's going to go for the counterattack into this. He's still 10 supply up. Siege tanks getting pecked away out. A few vultures laying mines to buy time. I think Nesh recognizes he wasn't going to win the overall trade, but if he makes his way back, wipes out LancerX's army, LancerX is all of a sudden sunk. Especially because he's still got a very healthy Goliath count. Mines catching some of the Dragoons. They're not getting up into the protection of the high ground. We got 6 Goliaths left, 3 carriers, 4 Dragoons, 2 Dragoons. The Dragoons are gone, and now the carriers are exposed fully to the Goliaths. 1 carrier remains, 2 carrier remains, sorry. Do we have distance mining? Command center trying to float back. We still have, and now Nesh. Oddly down in supply. Where do we have? We got 2 Goliaths and a Zealot right here. Goliath's just pecking away at these interceptors. Lancer needs to be very, very careful because he cannot afford to replenish these. Another carrier going to join the grouping. That's still going to leave 3. That's in open field. Do we have a... We still don't have a science vessel. A vulture checking around the map to make sure that this is all that remains. Lancer now distance mining with his probes at the natural to just get a little bit more in. Nesh going to draw back for the assault now. Might being left for that Dragoon top right. And the command center going to slowly float back up towards the 9. The SC, do we have any SCV? We only have 5 SCV. They should probably pull off gas and start mining otherwise. Intense one here is a finisher. Oh! Carrier was lucky to escape right there. Comsat going to pick off the observer. LancerX now separated from supply. He's got a supply lead, but you got to deduct 14 for the rest of the count. We got 8 more interceptors that can be built. So if Nesh can focus fire the interceptors down, that will be match. And we do see interceptors getting picked off. 7 resources left for LancerX. Full control group, almost, of Goliath. And 2 of those carriers very, very red. Nesh has landed. He's drawing the SCVs across to go ahead and get remining. The probe's drawing back. I don't know. I think Nesh won it? Maybe? He's starting to... It depends on these workers here at the natural and how much time they get. Observer picked off. 2 Dragoons left. The Goliaths have to survive if Nesh is going to have a shot. 3 carriers doing what they can. I think that might be it. I think Nesh can just walk in, 1 carrier down. 2 remaining. And I don't think he's going to have enough to get the observers, the interceptors back. So Nesh wins it at the last second. GG from LancerX. An insane semifinal here. Ho, ho, ho. Hope guys enjoyed that one. That's about as good as it gets. Game 2 goes to Nesh in this best of 5. Thanks for listening.